Hello, and yes, welcome back. Welcome to another episode of Who? You First. That's right. This is the place that it is all about you, and you know I'll say it, and even you. This is the place where it's all things self-care, mental wellness, mental well-being, a little bit of personal development, and yes, a whole bunch of empowerment because we want you to be your best self and your best self starting when? Now. Today, I'm excited because we get to talk today about embracing self-care and juggling roles. Juggling roles. I have waiting with me in the wings, Miss Lakeisha Mosley. This young lady does a lot. As you see, I always work really hard to bring on people who are doing things, who are already in it, but then they have to be able to know how to juggle and be able to embrace saying, I have to pause for the cause for somewhat self-care. Help me welcome today our guest, our amazing guest, Miss Lakeisha Mosley. Let's welcome her to You First. Yes. Hey, Miss Lakeisha.
Hello. I'm so happy.
Welcome. I'm so glad that you are here. And so today we're going to be talking about what? What's that? Embracing what that looks like to do a little bit of the juggling. Now, I know you are a mother, right? You have what, children who are in school, what, even in college right now, they're on break and a bunch of things are going on. You are also, guys, she is an author, a three-time author. She is also a podcast host. She also is a radio personality. And did I say she's married? And she is married. She is doing all of these things, and she has, and we're going to let her talk too a little bit about what that looks like, what the self-care look like in her life. Just say hello, Miss Lakeisha.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here, Shawanna. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to jump right in because y'all know our time together can go super duper fast. Tell us a time with all of the stuff that I just said you get the opportunity to do. When is the time that you know with all of that, how with all of that, how did you neglect yourself? What did that look like for you even in the beginning? Because your mom and your sons, they're growing up, they're getting up in age. Where when you look back and say, oh, I can see right here being a mother, how did you neglect yourself?
Yes, I definitely began to realize I was neglecting myself when I realized my energy was, pretty much dying down. I was not eating the way I should be eating. Wasn't drinking water the way I need to drink water. And for somebody that was in the military, I know to drink water, how important it is. I wasn't doing that. I was really just choosing to do other things versus doing my self-care when it comes to just the little things. And definitely realized that I was not really being very productive. Wasn't going at the pace that I should. So when I realized I need to put a pause for the cause and definitely realize how can I do something different? Because this is not an issue. This is a problem here.
And you know what? See, listen, I heard what I heard her say too, and she also mentioned that she is a veteran. She has been what done. So we thank you for your service. We thank you for your service. What does that even look like when you think about the military? This everything is all about being in order, all about discipline. Now, is that even a practice that you had with what your schedule? Because I know sometimes you're not just always out front on a field, but sometimes you do have office work or just regular a 9 to 5, if you will. What did that look like for our self-care, even when you was in the military? Let's help some veterans. Let's talk to some people about that.
Absolutely. So when I was in the military, we did have a process, a schedule. So we would get up very early. We were early in the morning. We began to start our routine of working out and began to get that done first. Then after that, we would begin to digress and get some nutrients in our bodies, begin to eat and begin to add ourselves back into what was depleted. And then we would go into our workday. Most people don't understand that we would actually go into our workday, go into a desk, actually go into our office, begin to look at any calls that we missed over the day before. We began to go into that process, but it was order and it was a process we were able to be really productive in because it was a schedule. So it was easy for us because it was something that we knew that needed to be done. So because of that schedule that was laid out, that's how we were able to get things done.
So for you, did you take some of those prior to retiring from the military? Did you take some of those practices with you because of the working out? You already said I heard you fussing at yourself and saying at times not drinking enough water. Did you kind of get away from some of those practices after you retired from the military?
Yes, I did get away from it after leaving the military, and I realized how that was the issue. The kids were starting to get older. My children were very young at age, when I was in the military, actually working in it. But as they got older, and then I began to, see the different transition when they began to evolve, going from school to school and going to, from, elementary school, high school, and now graduating and going to college. My patterns have changed because my needs have changed. I had to make sure they were good to go, those things that
Mm.
they needed to do. So those are added to the plate. So I said, oh, wow, okay. So I had to do a new schedule. I had to do a new platform, and then all these juggling it all. And I realized I wasn't doing the things that I used to do. I wasn't drinking the water that I usually drink. I wasn't working out the way I used to work out then, used to be before anything started. That wasn't happening. I realized I was depleting all of those things because I put those things that I used to do in the back in the day on the back burner.
And I love that what you said that stuck right out to me. You said your needs changed. Your needs changed, yes, because you had other responsibilities because they were getting older. So what they required of you became a little bit even more because that season of your life had shifted. So now those needs change. So I'm wanting to know, you said you started to neglect yourself. Can you recall a story of where you was like, I'm clearly neglecting myself? You have a memory of that when you like, I'm not, and it's more than just me not drinking some water.
Yeah, I began to realize I was neglecting myself, when I was pretty much focused on my amazing children. They're young kings right now, so I have boys. I began to realize I was focused on everything they needed to do, all the progress they were doing, and I realized I wasn't doing it for myself. So now I realize, I said, oh, wow, I'm not getting being on time for these meetings that I have
Mhm.
planned because I'm focusing on what they have done, really not understanding to juggle it all, to realize that they don't need that same help that they needed when they were younger. And I used to didn't really understand that, to say, oh my goodness, they're not young back in the day anymore. They're actually young men. They're in the mode of, oh no, mom, I can actually do that. You don't have to do that anymore. And then I realized, like, oh wow, yeah, I really do need to do a mental shift as far as the priorities, because they don't need the help that they needed before. So I had to understand that, accept that for myself. You need to focus on you, Keisha. Make sure you to realign your goals here. And that's when I realized that things need to shift.
Mm, you said it. You said it big. Ding, ding, ding. A mindset shift because every now and then we do. Everything starts in our mind. And you said you had to really then make a shift and you had to make a mind. You had to go within your mind to say, I have got to start doing some things differently. And part of that I heard as well is you were talking about communication, communicating with the family, with the needs of those who we're blessed to have and to take care of, whether we're a guardian, whether you're aunt or uncle, whomever you may be, seeing what those needs are, because every now and then along the way the season will change and those needs will change, even if it's them not necessarily saying I no longer need you to this magnitude. You may no longer be as available to those people, and it's like, what does that look like? Because when I think about it, you're a wife, you're a mother and a wife. And in this regards, I know you went through, when you think about self-care, and then I'm pretty sure you're pretty transparent from what I know. And you, because you love the man servant that God has put in your life right now, that you also know what that feels like, and thinking about neglect during a time when your first relationship was changing and was ending. What did you feel or see some type of neglect, like now I don't have that person, I don't have that husband, that house band, and now I'm with the children. I don't have him. He's not here. How did that affect your self-care during that time?
Yes, definitely that really affected my time. I really had to realize that, you know, definitely the boys are going to be okay. They're going to be fine. And I really had to understand how that was very true, that they were going to be fine. A lot of times we, put them in a box that they're not going to grow and develop and really began to do the things that we've taught them to do, which they do it very well. They're able to actually be self-sufficient in things. So I had to make sure, that my husband definitely needed to be honored and need to be put in that role first, because, a lot of times, sometimes we can put things out of balance and out of priority to understand that husband is always going to be first. He's supposed to be first. He's supposed to still be loved on no matter what. We need to definitely do those small dates, maybe if it's in the car and going to get ice cream, or if it's just going to a movie, doing those things together, or just going for a walk, just going for a stroll, just you, even if it's 10 minutes, not a long time, but just having that self priority time and, have those kicks and giggles and talk about things, that really lights us up, and then come back to our amazing, children are amazing, everything else. Just putting things in priority to make sure that they are always my husband's always going to be first, and he always puts me first, and we get in line, and we can always go back to everything that we have with everything else, but make sure the priority is always put place with our amazing partner moving forward.
But during a time when you didn't have the partner, when you before God said, "Okay, she is free to love again," time has passed. How was that adjustment during that time?
Yeah, so that adjustment for me, before, my husband came, before I had a partner, and I was a single person, I had to really align myself as far as what was going to be the benefit of my time and focus at that time. I had to make sure to do some self-reflection of myself and say, hey, you need to choose you. You need to make sure the priorities are straight so you can actually be able to give to anybody else. Because if I'm depleted, nobody else is going to get anything. So I had to make sure I had to do some self-serving of myself and make sure to take myself out and actually do some self-reflections. And I love doing, affirmations to those things. And I just love writing, having a good time with that, and really just really self-serving myself and giving myself some honor and loving myself. And then somebody else is able to contribute to that even before the children. When children come, then, that was great too. But you have to begin to date yourself, have a good time with yourself, take yourself out. Hey, take yourself out to dinner. I had to do those things to get used to that. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Just taking myself, scheduling myself for a date, and definitely being able to engage in those things. That was always fun for me. Just
Was that originally though, like the first time you can recall doing that, was it a little awkward? Because see, some people, they have a problem with being by themselves. Was it the first time? I know you like, nope, I'm into me now. I get it. I value myself. I'm a queen. When you think back to your first time saying, you know what, let me go and do this, did that feel awkward for you to say, oh, I really need to be doing this?
It was very awkward. I thought it was unusual. I didn't, oh God, nobody does this. Sometimes in your mind, you'd say that this is crazy to even do things like this, until you do it a couple of times, just getting used to it. And after you do it a few times, you realize, wow, this is something necessary. This is really fun. Just having a good time with yourself, just really grooming yourself, taking yourself out, putting a nice outfit on. Just putting a nice outfit on, just take yourself out and just look in the mirror and say, wow, you are really awesome. You are really brilliant. You are so beautiful. And that is awkward at first. But when you keep doing it and really doing those things, it's not awkward anymore. It's just like, second nature. Honestly, it really is. But you have to keep doing it and really serving yourself in that way, and just showing yourself that you deserve loving yourself again.
I love it. I love how you sharing with us. And then when you think about it, I know because, for a long time, I've been married for a minute now. And I think about, back in the day, and I think about even being a single mom. Self-care, I don't even know that I knew what that was. I know I definitely was not practicing it because I'm now a mom. I'm a mom. And so my kids are my priority. I was one of those people too, if I'm being honest. For me, this my life was work, church, home, work, church, home, work, church, home, and home meaning home with the kids because of trying to, being a single parent, balance. Look, trying to do the whole balancing act, but I never recall even in that where I leaned into saying, okay, my mom, because my mother worked, so my mom, especially with me back then, I didn't have where my mother had a lot of availability to always have my children. Most of my children's lives growing up, they were with me, and I was not only just the primary caregiver, they were with me. If I wasn't working, they were my sidekicks. My little ones were with me. And so when I think about being a single parent, having the kids, I know it that was not on my list. That was not list. It wasn't on the list. It wasn't on the radar. That was not for me. Do you have something during those times that you was like, and how could you talk to even a mother that could be a mom with a child, and it's just like, because I know I'm telling you, it was not. And there was, here it is, guys. I'll be honest. I didn't have those examples. I did not have examples of people who were self caring in a healthy way, I should say. Now, of course, everybody knows somebody who indulges in other extracurricular activities. But for me, being a mom, being a parent and having that responsibility, that was like top for me. Therefore, I never said, oh, well, yeah, if I was having fun, my fun always included my little ones. Always, always. It wasn't until, like, even now when I think about in the last few 5, 10 years to where being on this side of life, and that's why having a platform, having a space like this is so important, because I say it all the time. I want you to do it because it's necessary. It's not just for a season. It needs to be a part of the lifestyle. Making yourself and putting you first should be a part of your lifestyle, so that we get to benefit those around us, our community. Lakeisha, I know you do podcasting, which means you could be in a booth somewhere. You could be setting up an interview, right? As well as taking time to. We know that writing can be therapeutic, but also it could be therapeutic, but also depending on what you're working on, it's not necessarily saying I'm just chilling. No, because you have a goal in mind. What is some of the things that you do as a part of your current routine for self-care and mental well-being? What are some of the current things that you do?
Yes. So the current things that I do currently is something that is really a must for myself. I have to really just relax. I have to relax and just really have a schedule for myself and say, hey, this is things that you need to do daily, Keisha. You need to just relax and rest. I do meditations.
Mm,
Definitely having a great time of meditating. And it does take a long time. Most time we think, oh, it's supposed to be a couple hours. No, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, maybe 20
mhm.
minutes if you can, just early in the morning with music, some soothing music, honestly. Just really just repeat it over and over again. And you just almost like maybe a soothing word. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're worthy. You can do anything. You're accomplished. You're brilliant. You're perfect. Just saying those nice, amazing things to yourself and just meditating on yourself each and every day, it builds a momentum, honestly. And just begin to schedule some time for myself, really just have a good time where it's really just me, just a priority time for me, just making sure that I have time for me to make a nice protein shake, things in the morning, early in the morning, that doesn't bother anybody. And I can just get that for myself to make sure my fruit, just make sure my protein mix is in there, make sure some nice liquid that you do. Most people use, I like almond milk. Some people have something else, and just mix that early in the morning where I can just have a good time to my day. It's like, that's a boost for me. Just really giving myself that little self-care before everything else gets kind of crazy. I had to say crazy, when everybody started waking up, say, hey, I need this, because that happens all the time. But just giving yourself a little break for yourself to say, that you deserve you, Keisha. You deserve some time for yourself. And that boosts me up, and it really builds my confidence, honestly, just to make sure, like, yeah, you matter, girl. You matter. And that's why I just feel so great every day, just giving myself that boost in the morning.
I love it. I love it. So, see, one of the things that she does, look, she said protein. We already know water is your friend. Water is your friend. Water is your friend. But have making an amazing shake because it can fuel your day. And she said meditation. Meditation is key because it allows you the opportunity to get centered with yourself, to get centered to you, to know what it is, to look at those things. If you don't write in a planner, then maybe you need to consider writing in a planner. If you got 5, 10 things on there, say out of these 5 or 10 things, what's the top three? What is the top 3 things that I can lean into and then just make them? If I don't get nothing else done today, that I can get those top 3 things done to then be able to mark off where you feel, right? Because it's a feeling that you feel that you've accomplished some things today. It's like when I look at my list, I could have a dozen things on there, but then you have to know how what she talked about prioritizing, not just your family, but prioritizing things that your goals. She talked about goals, her desires. What are those things? Are we writing them down? Right? To write for me is to remember. When I write things down, they help me to remember. Do you remember what is it that you should be leaning into? What do you even know that you're called to do in this season of your life? Right? I'm big on saying every season can be your season when you're doing certain things that are in alignment with you. Sometimes we're all thrown off and we like, I can't do it. I can't do it, girl. I hear what you're saying. All that sounds special. But it's like, are you doing what you know that you're being called to do, what you have been designed to do? Are you leaning into that passion, those things that you can then work on strategically, putting those things into order, or connecting with the person so that self-care is a part of all of that? I'll say it again. It should be a lifestyle. You versus you. It's like, what are you doing to make sure that you're enjoying what you do, right? Because there's nothing worse than us. You already know it. All of the things that you just said that you do podcasting, you write, you radio show. If you didn't enjoy that, it's like, what is it for? Right? What is it for? So what kind of conversations do you know that you get to have and you get to encourage a person? So if you were to encourage a person right now, what would you say to someone and say, I hear that she's busy. Yeah. But Shawanna, So Lakeisha, let them hear from you. What would you say to someone to encourage them right now?
Well, right now, I would tell someone to definitely understand that you are worth it, that you can do anything, that it doesn't matter what anybody else is saying. That's not your business, but it's your business to know that you can achieve anything that you put your mind to. And I'm telling you this because I had to do that for myself. So it's always going to be great for you. Always know that you're not the only one. Most time we think we are. You're not the only one that has struggles. I promise you, if it's given to you, I promise you there's some way out of it. You're going to achieve greatness each and every day. Always know that you belong it and you're worth it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen up, guys. I know most of the time you think self care is for everyone. It is not gender specific. No. So if you're looking, man, I'm needing you to still lean in. I'm needing you to still tune in because this applies to you as well. And we just need to be okay to make it a part of even our conversation. You already know that it's like what you think about, you bring about. So what is it that we're thinking about that's even throwing us off before we ever put any action to it? Part of that, take action on making you a priority. This is not, I'll say it, this is not just for something for us just to be saying. This is not just to be cute. This is life. It is real. I know that someone leaning in, that's right. You pick the right day, you pick the right time, you pick the right station because, yes, I'm talking to you. Write it down. You have things that you know that you should be doing. You have things that you know, well, I started it, but I stopped. Make sure you make that a part of your self care. Part of self care is really us even leaning into what we really want to do. If you're walking around doing all of these things, and you're like, I don't even want to do none of this. That is not caring for you. What? Mentally. Earlier, she talked about a mindset shift. You have got to shift some things in your life. We have got to be okay to pull away from how we get locked into where we even allow, I know in times past, I've allowed other people to make me feel guilty about what I need to do for my care. At the end of the day, matter of fact, at the beginning of the day, it's about you and what you are responsible for. Your family, if you're a dad, a protector, if you're a mom, you're a nurturer, and you have other responsibilities, you do have a responsibility to you. You have a responsibility to you. You have a responsibility to you. Like me, yeah, you. You have a responsibility to you owe it to yourself. Say, I owe it to myself. I owe it to myself. Yes, you do, because we're talking about, we're in this world where they say we need to be kinder. How about extending some of that kindness to yourself first? Yeah, to you first. It's real. It's real. It's real. For such a time as this, for such a season as this, and that's right, it's about you. I'm so grateful that you were able to pause, Lakeisha. Look, we pulled her off the airwaves. She is moving and grooving and always doing stuff. And to for her to come in and have a you first, a self first, a you first conversation with us to just talk about that. What does look about embracing and balancing the juggling of the roles and responsibilities. She's a wife, she's a mother, and she has her own dreams and ambitions. But even in that, even in us going after our dreams and goals, we have to pause to find time to self-care and all of that. Because you burning the candle at both ends, as they say, you're burning the candle at both ends. And you don't have nothing for anybody. Yeah. What do you say about that, Lakeisha?
It's, you have to definitely prioritize your time, because that is very true. If you're doing everything, and not really understanding, you're really not getting anywhere. Honestly, a confused mind cannot go anywhere. It really does have to be priorities. So we don't want to keep burning both ends, family. We get exhausted, we get burnt out. That is not what God wants for us. God wants us to make sure to put ourselves in priority, to choose ourselves first and do things at a proper time. Always know everything is going to work out. Just understand that you don't have to rush. Do it in one day at a time. Take this one day at a time. This is a process. Life is a process, honestly, and it's a enjoyable process when we understand that.
Yeah, that's right. It can be a joy, right? It can be a joy unspeakable. There is nothing like, most people say, you look, when you get over 50, you really see things different. I don't want you to have to wait till then. I don't. I don't. I want you to get it. I want you to get it and understand it now. I want you to look, lean in, get the education, connect with other people, find other groups, read a great book, listen at a great look podcast. Look, Miss Lakeisha, she has podcasts, she has radio, she has a radio show, so make sure you are even connecting with people, good people like Miss Lakeisha. Things are being done, and we have to then, if you say what, when the student is ready, we've heard it, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The teachers are all around us. It's we then have to lean into going after what's going to really give us what we need for right now, for our betterment, for our longevity and the productivity of our future selves. I'll say it. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Yeah. How about that one? Do something today for yourself first that your future self will thank you for. That's right. I'm excited. I love that we get to have this time. We get to share and just think about it. This pause for this cause, this young lady paused in her day to just lean in and have a chat with me to talk about you first, to let you listen in a little bit about her life and some of the things that she get to do. She loved her family, she loved her kids, but through being a former vet, and then also knowing what life looked like with being a wife and a mother, right? You've got to be okay to tap into yourself. That's what this is all about. If you're here, that means you are called to something great. It does not matter how you got here. If you're still here and you're definitely looking and listening at me, you're listening at Miss Lakeisha, come on now. What does that mean? It's like, yeah, the time is now. You picked the right place, the right time, and definitely the right station and the right TV show. This is about you. You first, you get to do it. So we want to thank you, Miss Lakeisha, for tapping and tuning in with us today. We want to thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you. We're going to definitely get you back here so we can learn more about what it is that you get to do behind the scenes at the radio station. So thank you so much, Ms. Lakeisha, for joining us. And we want to thank you for joining us for another amazing episode of You First. It is about you, and you. I'm your host, Shawanna Kennedy. I get the privilege to be here with you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you for leaning in and tuning in with me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.